Hi guys, James Savage from National Club Golf down here at Moor Allerton today, and we've got a little bit of a driver comparison for you. I've got the brand new Titleist TS2 driver and I've got the Srixon Z785 driver. Okay, so new Titleist TS2 driver, Srixon Z785 driver, two of the new drivers on the market sort of late in the 2018 season. TS2, done loads of stuff on this already. I really like this club. It's got a bit of extra ball speed from some of Titleist's previous models. It's performed really well so far. But also new is the Srixon Z785. I think this is Srixon's best driver that I've hit to date. So it'll be really interesting to put these two head to head to see what the ball speed's like, see what the distance is like. But just to go into a little bit of the technology, there's quite a few similarities and there's quite a few differences. From the similarity point of view, I think these drivers are designed to sort of do the same thing. Obviously hit the ball really far, which is what we want our driver to do. We want it to launch it quite nice and high, and they don't want it to spin too much. They're kind of like the key things that every manufacturer is trying to make their drivers do. And the way they do it, and the way they've both done that, is just by using as lighter materials as possible, really, really light heads, and then using that weight savings to reposition the weight low and back. Obviously with the Titleist TS2 we've got that weight really low and back, and with the Srixon Z85 it's sort of still low and back but not quite as low and back, but all the key does come from those weight savings to allow them to reposition that weight. So what the difference is then between these two clubs? Well, Titleist, they've stuck with the sort of titanium crown, which we've sort of seen on their drivers forever, and Srixon have moved to the sort of composite crown that we've seen sort of TaylorMade and Callaway use as well. I'd say when you're looking at this driver from the address position, that crown reminds me very much of the Epic and the Rogue drivers, that sort of carbon composite style. It looks quite futuristic and techy, and it gives it a lot of shelf appeal. Differences as well between these two particular models is the TS2 again is very much that weight has been dragged back, and you can see that in the address position, whereas I'd say that the Srixon Z785 is that slightly more compacted head. It's that sort of more sort of deeper face, if you like, whereas it looks to me like when you set it down behind the ball there's just a lot of extra mass sort of like behind the ball with the Titleist, but with the Srixon it just seems like, say, that face just seems like quite deeper. It's just that more sort of bulbous, ever so slightly more compact. So I think this is leaning more towards the better player, the Srixon Z785, whereas the TS2 I think is maybe going to appeal more to your players that want that little bit of extra forgiveness. So just a little bit about the test that I'm doing here. I've got my custom fitted TS2 here, which has got the hazardous smoke shaft in there. This has not been custom fitted, the Srixon, but it's been sent in a spec which I've said I think is going to work for me. And because we've got maybe a slightly lower spinning head here with the Srixon, we've actually got the hazardous red shaft, which is more of a sort of a mid-spin shaft, whereas the hazardous smoke is more of a low spin shaft. So I'm hoping that I know the combination of this works well for me, sort of higher spinning head, lower spinning shaft. I'm hoping this combination of the sort of lower spinning head, higher spinning shaft will work well for me, but let's see how they work on the launch monitor and out on the course. Okay, so that was a shot there with the Titleist TS2 on the 26th hole here at Moor Allerton. Yeah, really happy with that. Straight down the middle, just a little bit of fade on there, just playing it off that breeze, but that's exactly in the middle of the fairway. Lovely sound and feel. I don't think it was my best shot by any means, but it's like I said, it's found the middle of the fairway and I'm absolutely delighted with that. So yeah, so that was the TS which I've been hitting here. Let's hit a few with the Srixon as well. So very different sound and feel there. A little bit sort of higher pitch there with the Srixon. Again, not my best strike. Gone a little bit higher than what I wanted, but it's still in play. It's gone some pretty decent distance. So I'm going to carry on hitting a few more, and then we can come back to some of the launch monitor numbers. So a good bit of on-course testing there with the Titleist TS2 and the Srixon Z85 driver. I've got some data here as well from some SkyTrak launch monitor testing that I'd done previous to taking these two drivers out onto the course for this test. Let's just look at the data first. You've probably seen from our original reviews of both these products that the performance is very, very good. I'd say that definitely the Titleist TS2 is up there with the best drivers that I've hit, and the Srixon has surprised me as well. It's definitely up there as well. I think when we can see from the number here, it's the ball speed is very good, you know, sort of between 145 and 150 consistently, and that's really good for me at my swing speed. What I would say is I did feel like that the Titleist TS2 just probably had that little bit more forgiveness on those off-centre hits, and that's why we're just seeing that average ball speed ever so slightly higher. Launch monitor numbers, taken with a pinch of salt. It's very personal to me how I'm delivering the club on those particular shots. I'm quite inconsistent, strike's important, so I actually think that the on-course testing is actually a lot more valuable to me than the launch monitor numbers, and I was impressed with both drivers out there on the course. It was quite windy as well, so that made it quite interesting as well. Like I say, good shots with both drivers were pretty much going in the same place, you know, nice and, you know, middle of the fairway, going a good distance, would be leaving me with a very short iron in to the green, which is exactly what I'm looking for. I did think that at times the Srixon driver did fly a little bit higher, and particularly in this wind that did cost me a little bit of distance, and again that's maybe a little bit to do with that shaft being that higher spinning shaft. And I think another thing about it as well is it's just that head shape on that Srixon Z785. I do think it's a little bit more compact. Do think it's leaning a little bit more towards your better player, whereas for me, I think when I drive the ball, I want that maximum forgiveness. I want that confidence at address. Like I said, I've been using the Ping G400 Max, which is kind of as big and as confidence inspiring as you can get. And when you move down into a driver like the Srixon Z785, you do just notice that there just doesn't seem to be quite as much there. So I do think that the Srixon driver is going to appeal maybe more to your better players with that more compact shape. And if you're not as confident off the tee, need a little bit of extra forgiveness, the TS2 I think could be the one for you. But like I say, good shot to good shot, middle shot v middle shot, not a lot of difference in there, but maybe slightly a little bit of extra average ball speed with that TS2 driver, because it was just performing possibly that little bit better on the off-centre hit. So post your comments below what you think about these drivers. I know there's a lot of interest in these Srixon drivers for this year, because they, like I said, I do think they are their best yet. And you know, the Titleist TS2, TS3, they've just been absolutely phenomenal as well. We've seen, you know, really good positive feedback on those. I'll be really interested to know what your feedback is if you've hit both of these drivers. So post as a comment below. I'd really like to hear from you, and I will always get back to you straight away. So in the meantime, thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.